live from El Paso County, Texas, the veterans' capital of the USA. From inside the Alicia Chacon Commissioner's Courtroom of the Enrique Moreno County Courthouse, you are watching the El Paso County Commissioner's Court meeting.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Thursday, November 20th, 2025. Commissioner's Court is meeting in special open session. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Oh, yes, sir. This morning, we're joined by ASL interpreters Selena Saloom and Tamara Marquez. Judge, would you like to make some opening comments this morning?
As always, all you here at Commissioner's Court, and on behalf of myself and the commissioners, we thank you for joining. And every time we have this special session, I really enjoy it because it gives us an opportunity to really look at things a little further without that kind of speed on Mondays of trying to get things accomplished. And so this is really, really special. We've got Commissioner Butler. We've got her on video. And so welcome as well. So thank you for being here. I look forward to a very productive morning and wish you all a great day and a great weekend as it comes up. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item number 3 is public comment. We have no speakers signed up at this time. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to address the court in regular public comment? Hearing none, we'll take no action on item 3. Item number 4A from the regular agenda, receive a presentation from the Texas Department of State Health Services regarding the oral rabies vaccination program set to commence in January of 2026.
Welcome.
Hi, good morning, Judge Commissioners. Crystal Reyes with your Animal Welfare Department. I'm here to introduce Dr. Susan Schaff. She is the state veterinarian for our region in the Texas Department of State Health Services. She'll be presenting on the oral rabies vaccine program, scheduled for January 2026. We're incredibly excited as this year we are not just doing the aerial rabies drop. They're also going to be hand baiting that we will be working hand in hand with, but I'll let her explain more a little bit about it. Dr. Susan Schaff.
Thank you. Good morning. Welcome.
Morning. Thank you, Crystal. And I just wanted to introduce Veronica Suarez, who is our program specialist here with the zoonosis program in El Paso for DSHS Region 910. So as Crystal mentioned, I'm the Regional Zoonosis Control Veterinarian for Department of State Health Services. I've been in this role since April, so relatively new. Wanted to thank you for allowing us to come talk to you today. We really just wanted to give you information about the oral rabies vaccination program, information about how we're planning on expanding it in El Paso and why, and hopefully answer any questions that you may have. So I just wanted to start off real quick, kind of to set the stage with some rabies history in El Paso, since that kind of leads into our story. You all are probably well aware that back in the 50s and 60s, El Paso was actually the rabies capital of the U.S., and that was due to the domestic dog variant. Through improvements in animal control and rabies vaccination, that actually still stand as a model today, we were able to retire that title and eliminate the dog variant. And that's thanks to our incredibly successful animal control programs. So if you look at this graph, this shows rabies cases from kind of 1964 to 1988. And El Paso saw its last terrestrial rabies case in 1988, and that was a horse. So we haven't seen a terrestrial rabies case in El Paso in over 30 years. And that's why we want to prevent us from seeing one in the future. Though I do want to clarify here, this graph talks about terrestrial rabies cases. We have always historically seen bat rabies in El Paso, and we continue to see bat rabies in El Paso with 6 positive bats so far this year. Sometimes we can also see spillover of bat rabies into terrestrial animals, so it gets a little confusing. We did have a positive fox, or El Paso had a positive fox, I believe, in 2014, which was a bat variant of rabies, so the fox had been bit by a bat. But as far as rabies that is circulating in terrestrial populations, we haven't seen that in over 30 years in El Paso. So to clarify a little bit what I was saying about rabies variants, the rabies virus is adapted to specific animal reservoir hosts, and it's primarily maintained in these reservoir host populations with occasional spillover into other species. In Texas, we primarily deal with the South Central skunk strain, and we see that in the more central Texas area. We're very fortunate that we do not see it here in El Paso. You'll notice we're kind of a white spot on the map here. Our concern is that coming in from the west, we have the Arizona fox variant. And that's in the orange there on the map. We know it's in New Mexico. We also know that it is south of us in Mexico as well, but we have not seen any cases yet here in El Paso. And so what prompted kind of our expansion of the oral rabies program in El Paso, or oral rabies vaccination program in El Paso, is that last year in 2024, there were several rabies-positive bobcats actually identified in Sierra and Grant counties in New Mexico, and they turned out to have the Arizona fox variant. So that's only about 100 miles from El Paso. Moving forward to this year, we continue to see it circulating in Sierra and Grant counties. New Mexico reported a positive bobcat with the Arizona fox variant in Sierra County, and actually a positive dog with the Arizona fox variant in Grant County. Our colleagues at the CDC rabies branch do think that it is probably circulating in Doñana County, but we're just not picking it up because New Mexico doesn't have anyone looking in wildlife at this right now. And so that's the concern, is this encroaching Arizona fox variant, and we want to prevent it from getting into El Paso. We know we have a number of urban foxes. We see them all the time. I love to see them, they're great, but we want to prevent rabies from getting into that fox population because rabid foxes do become aggressive and oftentimes result in more human and domestic animal exposures through bites. So our plan to address this is through the oral rabies vaccination program, which is where we vaccinate wildlife through an oral vaccine that's either dropped from an airplane or distributed by hand. And so I'll go into a little bit about that. It started in Texas in the 90s. We were dealing with 2 big rabies epizootics or outbreaks, the domestic dog and coyote variant down in South Texas, and then in West Central Texas, we had the West Texas gray fox variant. And so the first South Texas bait drop started in 1995, and then the following year, they started dropping baits in West Texas and Central Texas. And you can see it was actually very successful. So the red bars show the number of baits dropped. And then we have the number of domestic dog and coyote variant cases in yellow and the number of gray fox variant cases in green. And you can really see them drop off as the program progressed with dropping baits in the area to vaccinate that wildlife for rabies. So the oral rabies vaccination program is actually not new to El Paso. My predecessor, Dr. Waldrop, has been baiting the river levee and the area in Hit Canyon up along the New Mexico border probably for about 15 years. And he was doing this for concern of the Arizona fox variant as he was watching it get closer to us. Just to go into a little bit about the vaccine that is used, since we do get questions about this. It's called, the name is Raboral VG, so it's Vaccinia rabies glycoprotein, and it's a recombinant vaccine, and it's made from a live weakened vaccinia virus that carries the rabies antigen, so the rabies glycoprotein. The vaccine cannot cause rabies because it does not carry the DNA, it's just the surface protein to stimulate that immune response. It's packaged in these little sachets that you can see here that are coated in this very lovely smelling fish meal bait to attract foxes and coyotes. They think it's tasty. It does not smell good to me. And it is stamped with rabies vaccine, do not disturb, and then a 24/7 phone number that anyone who finds one can call. It has been shown through studies to be safe in both domestic dogs and cats, so there's no harm to domestic animals if they eat the vaccine. However, it does not count as their annual rabies vaccine. It is sometimes if an animal were to eat a large number of them, the fish meal bait may cause GI upset, similar as to when a dog gets in the trash or something like that, just from eating a whole bunch of the fish meal bait. But the vaccine itself does not have any adverse effects or is safe in domestic dogs and cats. They've also done studies in over 60 different non-target species, so other than our wild carnivores, animals that may come in contact with the bait, and studies have shown that inadvertent contact with the vaccine would not harm any of these species. However, that does not constitute approval for use in those species, just that if they come in contact with the bait, there shouldn't be any harm there. As far as humans go, since it is a vectored vaccine, the virus can cause a local pox-type infection in people who are pregnant or immune compromised or have certain skin conditions like eczema. There are very few documented human adverse events anywhere in the world, but we obviously maintain surveillance. We have that 24/7 number for anyone to contact, and we are available if someone does happen to find a bait and come in contact with it. We are also hoping to put out a media campaign ahead of time just to let people know about the program. This is what the baits look like, what to do if you find one, and those sorts of things. So this is what was done last year in terms of the oral rabies vaccination program. They baited a border maintenance zone, and then last year was the first year actually that any aerial baiting was done in El Paso. And that was done via helicopter over the non-populated areas. Obviously, we don't want to be dropping baits on people's houses. So the aerial bait drop is only over non-populated areas, so they did it kind of over the Franklin and then in some of the areas out east in the county. For this year, what's proposed is, again, the border maintenance zone in Texas, as well as hand baiting in South Texas and our area as well. And so this is kind of our tentative hand baiting map, and we are still kind of workshopping this, working with our partners in animal welfare and at Animal Services to identify where good fox habitat is, because that's what we're trying to target, urban foxes and coyotes. So it's a lot of the arroyos along the west side, along the river, places where we know that that foxes may be present so that they can get this bait. Obviously, we don't want to put it in heavily trafficked areas where people and dogs are going to find it. So we'll be adjusting this, accordingly. The colors are really just dividing it up into teams since it's a lot of area to cover. So you can ignore the colors. It's just dividing it up into different teams. We're going to be relying on help from our partners at El Paso Animal Welfare and El Paso Animal Services to complete this and to get this bait distributed. Just some stats, and actually I can update this. We'll be doing an aerial bait drop over portions of El Paso County. It will likely be via fixed-wing airplane. We have been working with Fort Bliss. We would love to have them included, but unfortunately we couldn't make it through the regulatory hurdles to get them included this year. We're very hopeful to be able to include them next year. So we're continuing to work there, but this year we won't unfortunately have Fort Bliss as part of it. And then we're also going to do about 4,500 baits of hand baiting, so distribution of baits on foot or on ATV in areas, again, that are targeted fox habitat. We really wanted to get this information out to you guys today because we do expect that it might have a little bit higher visibility since we're doing more extensive hand baiting around the city and county, and we want to make sure that folks can get their questions answered. As I mentioned, we're obviously working very closely with El Paso Animal Services and El Paso County Animal Welfare. We really couldn't do this without them. We're very grateful for their participation. And we are going to be offering continuing education for animal control officers that assist in the hand baiting. So with that, I have all of our contact information here. I'm located here in El Paso, as is Veronica, and we have our ORVP coordinator, Kathy Parker, who is located in Austin in our central office. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have. If I can't answer them, I can always refer to Kathy and get back to you.
Thank you. Any questions? Betsy, any additional comments or anything?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Item number 4B, receive and discuss a presentation and update from the bond performance team regarding the voter-approved bond projects in the capital improvement plan.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. It's our pleasure to give an update on where we are on our 2024 voter-approved bond projects. As the team is making their way up here, I just wanted to mention a couple things. First of all, we're basically at the 1-year anniversary of when these three propositions passed with voters. And you will recall, we did not get our first tranche of funding until June or July of this year. And if you've seen the announcements, we're having our first project completion December 11th. And I want to note that, I'm sure the team's going to talk a little bit about this. I don't want to steal all the thunder, but I just want to use that to illustrate how committed we are to getting these projects out, rolling them out to the public, being responsible with these funds. And it's because of this team and the collaboration and the working together, and especially our Public Works team, just they're pounding away at it. And last night we had our public meeting on animal welfare. And, you know, they were there late last night. They're up at it early this morning, back, you know, just working away at these projects. And for all of the team, I could not be more proud. I also want to turn it over to Christian Martinez, who is the chief aide in my office working on capital improvement bonds, and he's going to give the update for admin.
Thank you, Betsy, for those words. Thank you, Christian.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Christian Martinez with County Administration Department. As Betsy said, just a quick update on the administrative and financial side related to the bond performance management. The capital management team is now working on an aforementioned in a previous meeting financial meter to show overall spend down to the court in future updates via these special session presentations. We expect to have that sometime at the top of the calendar year. We're in the process of currently filling out the rest of our team. We're excited to share with you all that we'll have an analyst position filled actually this coming Monday on the team, and that will kind of help round out the capital planning management team that'll help coordinate and facilitate all of the coordination and collaboration that goes on with all the various departments that are involved with this effort. On another note, on the financial side, as part of that coordination and collaboration, the budget department has developed a bond issuance timeline in coordination with county admin, the county auditor's office, and public works that will help ensure proper availability of funds over the years. We put together this slide here for you all to see the proposed dates of issuance that will happen annually. These amounts and these issuance sizes were confirmed with the Public Works Department to ensure that there would be a proper availability of funds in alignment with the project spending timelines that are expected per all the project managers. And so what you see here, obviously an authorization will still need to be approved by the court for each of these annual issuances. And this is just proposed. It could potentially change if there was any changes at the state legislature level with regards to bond financing and bond issuances. We may need to make some adjustments where perhaps maybe the last 2 years are issued on an advanced timeline. But if that happens, we'll be sure to make the court aware of that with plenty of time and awareness. And just one last thing related to this. There is an item coming to the Commissioner's Court this coming Monday as well from the Budget Department that kind of follows up on this issuance allocation. It's an item that breaks down this first issuance that you see at the top of $11.8 million into the appropriate budget accounts. This will allow our Public Works team to be able to spend down projects quickly and appropriately and have the appropriate amount of funds in each of those budget line items for those projects. And so just giving you all a heads up that that's coming. That does conclude any of the administrative financial updates. If there are no questions on that specifically, I'm going to hand it over now to our purchasing agent, Ms. Karen Davidson, who provided an update on the procurement side of things.
Thank you.
Christian, the only thing I think I would add is I think the item on Monday is going to help identify the breakdown for all funds, for all issuances. But that I will ask budget to clarify that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Christian. We're so glad to
Welcome,
have him
Karen.
part of the team. Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Karen Davidson, your county purchasing agent. That got small. We're very excited to talk to the court today about the next project that Public Works has now turned over to purchasing, and that is the Construction Manager at Risk, or the CMAR, for our county animal shelter. So we're very excited. We just got the package. It's a big package. So we are in the process of reviewing and approving that, and that'll go into the PR committee for approval from legal and the auditors to make sure everything's under completely compliant, and all the funding and all the appropriate documents are there. If you remember, court, this is how we did the OME. We're going to have the actual AIA contract in this formal solicitation. So as we go through the proposals and the receiving of the proposals, we'll also be negotiating the contract at the same time. So this again will make it much more expeditious in getting that fully executed contract going, so we have a faster groundbreaking, right? So it's on track for Commissioners Court to be approved in August 2026, and that would be the award to the vendor for the animal shelter and the contract as well. We are going to track it for August, but we hope to bring it in sooner if we possibly can. The next item is the Ascarity Park, or the Park Administrative Building. This is the new competitive sealed proposal. This is the new instrument that was developed with legal. County attorneys were very instrumental. Public Works were very instrumental. And this is the new competitive bid type package, but it has a valuation criterion in it so that it's not just the lowest bid. So as we talk through that, it also brings in best value. So it's experience, qualifications, and all the other weighted criterion that the evaluation panel will want to look at it with instead of just the lowest bid. So this is a big instrument for us, and we're really excited to have it for the Park Administrative Building, and we'll be using it in other projects as we move forward on the bond projects. So that one is already in PR. We hope to have it out of PR in the next couple of days. And we're looking to advertise this one December 7th and 14th. If we have that going by then, we'll put it out for 60 days for the public that's interested in it. And it is a holiday advertisement, but we're hoping everybody catches it. We'll have a press release on it as well so that everybody in the community knows that opportunity exists. And that's on track for an award to this court in June of 2026. The next three are the ones we have been talking about, and we completed all of our community meetings. So it's Risinger Park, Westway, and Agua Dulce Park. The community meetings and the final finishes are decided upon. All those details have been submitted back to purchasing. So they're all on the same path. The next step is to get the proposals reviewed with all the details in there. And once we have all that done and through the process, we hope to bring all three of these parks back to you in January of 2026. So those will be three newly awarded projects in January. That's where we're at right now. There's a lot more work going on, and I'll let Public Works take that from me, but I'm certainly here to answer any questions on these procurements that you have this morning. No concerns? Excellent. With that, I'm going to turn it over to legal and Ms. Erica Rosales.
Well, Karen, thank you for your enthusiasm.
Oh, you bet.
I could feel it, that you're excited.
We love projects.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Eric Rosales Negaglione, Assistant County Attorney. I'll double down on some of the things Ms. Davidson said. With the CMAR contract for your OME is on your agenda for Monday, and so you'll see that on there. That was a really great process with Assistant County Attorney Stephen Arellano and also Fernie, of course, with our Public Works team. The competitive seal proposal for the parks headquarters that Ms. Davidson mentioned, I do want to give a lot of kudos to the purchasing department. We've been perfecting this because we are going to keep using it again, and so they paid a lot of attention to detail. I have to acknowledge Ms. Elvia from purchasing to really perfect this document, so we're really excited to share that. Lastly, it didn't make the PowerPoint, but I did want to highlight the CMAR contract for the animal shelter is under legal review, the one that Ms. Davidson just mentioned. What's really great about this, because we are utilizing the AIA contracts, we already did the CMAR contract for the OME. And so now that we have that template, it makes the rest of these a lot more efficient. So although we are using the template, of course, we make revisions to it that are project specific. Any special accommodations, right, we would have to consider for the animal shelter. But I will say that it is nice to have the AIA contracts to make this process just a lot faster. So those are the major updates for today. Were there any questions from the court for me?
No.
I'll turn it over to
Thank you.
Public Works. Thank you.
Appreciate your
Thank you.
work. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lydia Arias with Public Works.
Good morning, Lydia.
I'll go ahead and start off with Ascarate Park. So on Ascarate Park, last week, we had our 2 workshops. The first workshop consisted of meeting with all of the park staff. Thanks to our Parks Director, Tim Fulton, he was able to accommodate all his staff attending our first workshop, and we had all of our consultants, a very large team from Mexico that included biohabitats that's working on specifically on the lake. We had CDM that is doing the wells, and we had our landscape architect, some of our civils, and our electrical and mechanical on site. So the consultants were able to hear directly from our staff as to how the park operates, some of the shortfalls, and some of the events that happen. So the purpose for that was for our team, our design team, to understand our park entirely, and to, once we start the design, to be able to phase things off so that there is there is minimal impact to the park, and we shut down the park in phases rather than the entire park. So that was workshop number 1. The second one was with the commissioners, and we met with Commissioner Stout, some of the other commissioner staff, and we got direct feedback as to what the vision is for Ascarate. So we thank you for all of that feedback. Our design team is taking all that, into consideration. And we will come back, and on December 9th, we will have our first public meeting for Ascarate, where we will be presenting preliminary concepts and getting feedback directly from the community. So again, that's going to be December 9th at 6 p.m. at the Pavilion. And then, okay, I think that's it for Ascarate. Our next one is San Felipe Park. On San Felipe Park, we had we issued our notice to proceed in October, and we had our first public meeting November 3rd. We had our consultant and our specialty consultant, Rec Connect, that presented some of the general ideas and got a lot of feedback from the community on that. We did have a full house, so we do have a lot of feedback that the consultant is taking back. We have a couple of meetings with the consultant so they can report all of the concepts that were generated by the community feedback. And we expect to have our second meeting in January, where we will be actually presenting some of the concepts that the community that the community mentioned. So that will be in January. For Gallegos Park, we have our proposal under review. Our proposal is pending a meeting with IBWC, our Public Works Department, and the consultant. We're planning this meeting. Once we know exactly what IBWC is going to require for us to create that crossing to connect the trail, we will finalize the proposal and bring that to the court. So, yes, sir.
Are we just getting an easement, or are we going to purchase the land from them, or what?
So that's the conversation that we need to have from them. I know that we have an agreement for the trail. So I don't know if we can add to that agreement, or if it's going to be just an easement. I think we have to talk to them and see what the requirements are going to be. So part of that is why we want to have our consultant on board in that preliminary meeting.
And the other question I had is, what width are we going to be, if we're going to be able to put landscaping and lighting on the sides, what the width of the easement's going to be, or the...
I know that since it's a levee, it's going to be a little bit hard to put any lighting probably on the levee itself,
No, not on the levee, I'm talking about the
the
actual-
trail part.
Yeah.
So that will be with El Paso Water, because if you recall, the other portion is, I
Right.
know they had limitations on possibly landscaping. We didn't really discuss the lighting portion, but they did want to review our plans.
Okay.
And then for Gallegos, that one, we do have that proposal on hold due to some of the land conversations that's happening on that. I believe that there's a item on the December 15th agenda to discuss this further. For Coyote Park, I know our legal team has been taking the lead a little bit on this. There's still continuous conversations between our legal team and the Tornillo ISD team. As of yesterday, we haven't received a response from their legal team, and we're pending that to be able to finalize our proposal.
Do you think that we need to reach out to the superintendent to just kind of give him a gentle reminder, or do you think that we should be expecting that soon?
Mic turned off. Oh, there. I mean, I think Commissioner Eric Rosales-Negaglione, Assistant County Attorney, I do think that would be helpful. We have been in constant communication, but the board met yesterday, and it was not on their agenda. And we were hoping that it would be so that the attorney could have the conversation with, the client. So yes, absolutely, we appreciate any assistance. Thank you.
Our next park is Ruben Estrella. So we are, in our last meeting, we had just received the contract from the consultant. We did send that over to legal. Legal had comments. That has been sent back to the consultant. And the consultant is working on those revisions, so we're pending to receive that. We anticipate to have this finalized and ready for the January agenda. Also in our last meeting, there was a concern that Commissioner Butler brought up regarding the lighting. The concern was that we didn't want to wait until the design and construction of the bond project for some of the lighting issues that are currently happening at the park. So our Public Works Department is working on replacing all of the solar lights that are at the park, so the constituents wouldn't have to wait for that lighting improvement until the bond. The next one is veterans. We did have a slight setback on that, on the negotiations. That has been cleared. Thank you, Commissioner, for helping us with that, issue. Right now, we're waiting on the surveyor to provide us the exhibit that will be showing the easement for the location of the future well that the water department was requiring as part of this land conveyance for a future well site. So once we get that, those documents, we can send them over to legal for their review so we can finalize the conveyance documents. And once we have that in place, we can kick off, we can come back with our contract for design. On Sparks, I know we have a different things going on. So we just received the revised proposal from the consultant that has been sent over to legal. That was just sent yesterday, so they'll need some time to give us the first draft for the contract. I know we've had a meeting with the Region 19 office. We've talked about the relocation. The plan is to relocate the structures in the summer while the kids are out of school. We're still looking at some of the details. For example, their playground equipment. They've also liked that to get that relocated, so we're looking into all of the specifics. And did you want to add to that? I think you got it. Okay. And so that's, and just to add to this, the consultant will be doing the design for the park and the trail and the internal trail. So it'll be one consultant for both of the projects. which include, I think they're already combined. Yes. I'll hand this over to Melina.
Thank you. So on to Westway. As Karen has mentioned with purchasing, they've really been helping us getting the final quotes approved in the proper method. So all that should, as Karen mentioned, be awarded in January of '26. And that portion is for the walking trail and a water fountain there. The other portions would be part of the shelter bundle. And we'll talk a little bit about that at the end of these three. Going on to Reisinger, we have a similar situation as Karen mentioned, so we're hoping to award by January of 2026. That one includes that one has a lot of amenities, it's been a lot of fun, but mainly that's a lighting package that the community has chosen based off of our October meeting. And on to Agua Dulce. Agua Dulce is moving again for January of 2026. And that one will focus, or the early release items will include a walking trail and a drinking fountain. All three parks are part of that shelter bundle, which include the amenities that Lydia had previously talked about. So at the community meetings, all three parks, they were able to choose what kind of shelter they wanted, the number of amenities that were within it, additional benches. Did I miss anything else? I think.
Yes. That real quick. I know that in some of the communities, they wanted something different than what we had on the list. Like, for example, in Reisinger, they prefer to have a shade structure over their playground. So we're looking into that as part of this package, too.
We had originally not talked about lighting package, but it was desired, so that was the direction that project moved into as well. Speaking on the sports park, as Betsy has mentioned, it's been moving along really, really well. This week, we finalized it was a major milestone, basically completion of all the light installation. They're just doing some testing, but we're gonna be ready for that December 11th evening lighting ceremony, so it'll be a lot of fun. We hope to see everyone there, and I hear there's a first pitch. No? So we're really excited about that one, but it did wrap up successfully, so we're excited for it. She's got a cap. On to the next one. This is the Park Administration Building that's at Escarate Park. So this one, as Karen has mentioned, and Erica, we do have the competitive sealed proposal, and so it will be released pretty soon. So we're hoping to line up with the timeline that purchasing has laid out. And so if we can expedite it, we will. So as Erica had mentioned, we're already including the contracts within them. So we're gaining some time there. And so once all the bids come in, all the scoring gets done, all that gets completed, it should be a quicker turnaround. And for county animal shelter, this one today, we have a special guest. As they are making their way up, we did bring our team Exego here. We recently had, based off of our last special session, we did have our internal workshops and also a community meeting. So to further discuss that, we do have our team here from Exego, so I'm gonna hand over the clicker as they present their thing.
Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. My name is Eugenio Mesta, also known as Pacelli. Please call me Pacelli, that's my nickname. With me is Elias Padilla. He's assistant principal and associate principal, and a project manager, project architect for the building, and then associate architect Alex Cortez from our firm. We want to thank you for the opportunity to participate in this project. This is a dream come true for any architect to be able to contribute to what you're doing and be a good citizen and make ourselves useful in a transformative project for our community. This is a dream come true, and we're truly excited. There is only 3 of us here, but there is 10 consultants firms and another 2 other architects within our firm that are working on this project. And I cannot share enough enthusiasm and love for this project. Alex has been bringing his dog to the office every Friday now since we got this project. So we're getting the hang of it. As Melina was mentioned, yesterday we had our first community meeting. Commissioner Orlean and Commissioner Butler were present there. We had 29 attendees, and it was very good, very well received, considering it was a weekday, late, a lot of traffic, drizzle. But we thought it was very successful. We had 29 attendees, and first we started by reintroducing to everyone how we got here, the bond budget, how it was approved, and how it was overwhelmingly voted for by the community with over 65%, I believe, of the vote for it. So the first session is mostly a listening session. And what we want to do is for not only introduce to them what the new animal shelters are like, understand what the amenities that are expected in a facility like this. We talked about budget, but we also asked them to tell us what they wanted, what their expectations was. So after a brief discussion about what the modern animal shelter is like, we presented some visioning boards in which people will be able to come in and vote for the things that they liked and they didn't like, what they wanted to see and what they didn't want to see. In addition to that, they had Post-its so that they could share with us not only how they voted, but also their expectations. This was last night. In our next meeting, we're going to give you the results of what was most liked, tally all the votes, get all their comments. But what is interesting about this process is that when we come back in January with our second session, we're going to incorporate some of these comments in 2 alternative designs. We're going to place them on site, and we're going to make sure that we include all of these comments into those designs, and then we present it to them, and they're going to select one. The likelihood is that it's going to be a hybrid, and we're going to have things of one that is more liked than the others, and we're going to try to combine them. And from then, we're going to start our full design of the project. Right now, as we speak, we're doing additional analysis, like we're doing topographic survey, boundary survey, geotechnical studies. So that's going to be done in parallel so that by the time we finish the community sessions, we have all that information so that we can start full design on the project. And again, I want to thank you for the opportunity, not only today to present this and for the team, they've been very supportive, but also for the opportunity to work on this project. It has been really a dream come true, like I said. And I'm open for any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Commissioner Coronel?
Animal shelter, I just, with respect to our Parks Department and I guess our other vendors, is that I'd like to see specifically for the not Westway, with the Escarate, when we do the outreach, I'd really like to see a robust attendance. So I can't stress that enough, that we really need more participation for this particular park in terms of getting input rather than it just being a few people and making changes because a few people showed up. I'd really want to make sure that we have that outreach and large participation in that project.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Just to get on that, we couldn't agree more. We went before for a community meeting with Commissioner Stout. It was before our contract was approved, and it was just with a fishing club. And it was interesting, and it was well attended. So we expect a lot larger people, a lot more people. It's going to be at the pavilion, that first meeting of 3. There's going to be 3 community meetings. The first one is visioning, kind of like listening, similar to what we did yesterday with the animal shelter. The second one, we're going to come up with some comments, with some recommendations, concepts, and things. And the third one is going to be with a concept plan for approval. So we anticipate a lot more participation, a lot of more community engagement. And that's what we're doing 3. We're doing it at the pavilion. We think that we're going to do the animal shelter next meeting, might be at the pavilion to make it more convenient for more people to attend. But we couldn't agree more. The more, the merrier. It's really important.
Great. And another question is, do we have all the personnel on board that we need? I know we maybe had some others that were hiring again that left. Is that correct? Some of the
With regards to,
Some of the projects?
oh, yes, we're working on that, yes.
You are?
We're moving pretty quickly through it, so.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Judge.
And just to elaborate a little bit on the animal shelter workshops that we had with internal staff, they did sacrifice, I want to say 20-plus hours, meeting, going through the smallest of questions you could possibly think of, but they were good team players. They sat through some of simple questions that you don't think about, like outlets and is there a vending machine? Do you want people to sit with you or not sit with you? There were so many questions, but they were such good team players, like I mentioned, and so it was a really great week of very in-depth questions led by our Exego team here.
Judge.
Commissioner Stout?
Thank you. Real quickly, thank you all for the presentation. I've been very happy with the way that we've done community outreach and feedback over the, long haul on this project and the parks master plan even, that kind of brought a lot of these projects about, but and the bond outreach as well. But I want to echo some of Commissioner Coronado's sentiments and making sure that we continue to have community input steer the projects, and just wondering if there is any other vehicle or any other manner by which the public can give us feedback besides the meetings, right? I mean, so do we have like on our website something up that like they can put little like electronic Post-its on or something like that, that they can continue to provide feedback, and also. I know that we talked a little bit about this in the meeting that I had with Pacelli and his team. Dr. Gallegos was there regarding just making sure that we're continuously informing the public about every step that we're making and showing that we're moving forward, that we're spending the money correctly, that we're getting the projects done. I think that's important as well.
And we do have a little more information coming up at the end of the presentation
Okay.
regarding public outreach. I think Team Mexico is good to sit down. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
We have
Thank
one
you.
more project to update, and then we'll jump back on
Okay.
to public outreach.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Fernando Hernandez with Infrastructure Services. As far as for the Office of the Medical Examiners, basically, we did have our contractor onboarded. As you know, you all awarded the contract a couple weeks ago, and now we're working on getting our contractor onboarded with the team. Our design team is preparing a preliminary package for them to start going over and doing the actual taking off and start working with the, I guess, the value engineering portion of it. And so that's a quick rundown of the medical examiners. And I don't know if you all have any other questions for the Public Works staff. If not, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Gallegos for communications update.
I have a first slide here about the bond signage, but I will address your concerns about the community outreach, and we can have a discussion about that. Laura Gallegos, Communications Manager for the county. So as you can see, the bond signs are up. I know that we have shared that with you previously, but I wanted to show proof that they're out there and installed, 21 of them throughout the county. So we did our best to put them in very visible locations so that people know what's going on. And of course, there's a QR code where you can follow along with the project on the official dashboard. And next slide. Sorry. Okay, thank you. As was mentioned, community meetings have been going on. We have done many. We have some already scheduled for December. And the way that we're getting the word out about these meetings, and as well as any little step that's taken towards advancing any of the projects, we're doing that through media outreach, social media. There's always a story in the newsletter to give updates. We use the Escada at the Park marquee to advertise any community meetings or celebrations like the sports park lighting that we're really excited about next week. We're also doing community outreach with special interest groups. That's kind of a new thing with this Go Bond project, is that We're directly emailing specific interest groups. We put that together. We're working with your staff to make sure that all of the interest groups that you're interested in are being reached out to, whether it's your staff or our staff. We're covering all our bases and meeting. We're also meeting with the individual departments, like the Animal Welfare Office, to make sure that we're covering everybody that could possibly be interested in participating in the community meeting or coming to our celebrations like ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings. There will be some vinyl banners going up at Ascarate Park to take advantage of all the traffic that goes on there, so that people are aware that there's going to be community meetings at the pavilion regarding the Go Bond projects. But I am open to suggestions. I love the idea of having something on the website. I know that we have some kind of platform that I might be able to have access through what Budget uses. I forget what the name of the software is, but that's a way where people can go on a certain website and give information on and ask questions about projects. So we can look into that and maybe other options that might be quicker. But again, anything that you suggest, I will look into research and see what else we can do.
Dr. Gallegos, we had talked about the advisory board. How do we keep them engaged? And they're going to have they have a lot of outreach, a lot of ideas, and they're very highly motivated. So is there any way we could link back with them and see they could feel that they were part of it and they know very well what took place?
Judge, that's a project we need to bring back. And that's my office, and we will get that back to you quickly. But I believe that some members want to evaluate the appointees, maybe add someone different from who was originally on it. So we'll bring that back for the court so that we can keep them engaged. Laura, the other thing I think would be just a simple added, I say simple, I know it's never simple, but I do think having an online option, like where people can either listen into the meetings while they're happening, listen in virtually, or having something where I've been in like Zoom or Teams meetings where like they poll you, or they're doing so we could collect feedback from people who can't be there in person. That would be really valuable, and it's something I would hope that we'd be able to set up fairly easily.
We'll definitely look into that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And are we emailing, like, for example, neighborhood associations to make sure that they reach out to their?
Yes, we are.
And we do need your help. So when we send out I think Laura sent out the notice about the November 10th meeting at least a week in advance. Our team did. But we really need help from your offices too, because you all also have mailing lists. If you'll please help us distribute those, it would be extremely helpful. Or if we don't have your mailing list, if you will give us your mailing list, if you're willing, but whatever email list, so that we can make sure that it's hitting as many people as we possibly can.
Yes, and those are the discussions that I have had with your staff.
Okay, good.
And that's all I have. Again, we're going to shout out loud the message that the sports park lighting project is complete and ahead of schedule. Make sure that the whole world knows that we're on top of things and that Public Works is doing a great job, along with all the other supporting staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I know some people are paying attention to the lighting, because I've gotten calls. When are the lighting, is the lighting that was there going to get put at Ascarate, and when that's going to happen? So people are paying attention to it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you. Appreciate everything you do. Thank you.
Item number 4C, receive a presentation on the El Paso County's facilities that have been fully and/or partially updated in 2023-24 to meet the Texas Accessibility Standards and the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Berenice Acosta with the Human Resources Department. Today I have the pleasure of introducing your ADA Coordinator, Amanda Manning. Amanda plays a vital role in ensuring El Paso County facilities and programs remain accessible and inclusive for all residents. As the county's ADA coordinator, Amanda is tasked with upholding compliance with both the American with Disabilities Act and the Texas Accessibility Standards, which are critical laws that guide how our buildings and programs meet accessibility requirements. Amanda's work involves a strategic and collaborative approach, conducting inspections based on public input, court-approved priorities, and the county's comprehensive ADA transition plan. Today, Amanda will provide valuable insights into the inspection process, the development of compliance reports, and the ongoing efforts to update and maintain the county's accessibility standards. I would now like to hand over the presentation to Amanda, who will provide the court with information on ADA inspections that have occurred over the past year.
Thank you. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Judge. Amanda Manning, ADA Coordinator, Human Resources Department. As part of our annual goals, specific county buildings, parks, and programs are inspected or reviewed based on the priority levels developed through meetings with the public and approved by Commissioners Court. Grievances or new construction may also impact priority inspections in any given year. After each inspection, we generate a report for each facility or program, which includes the corrective course of action for public works facilities and/or the department to bring each area and item into compliance with the ADA and the Texas accessibility standards. These inspections are not random, but are a part of a transition plan developed by staff and first implemented in 2012. The transition plan serves as an internal guide for ADA compliance within the county. The transition plan is updated every 2 years and approved by Commissioners Court, with this year being the next update. As mentioned by Veronis, earlier today, we would like to provide the court with information and results of inspections that have occurred over this last year. The ADA transition plan serves as our roadmap for identifying and removing barriers to accessibility. These barriers can be physical, programmatic, or electronic. Removing them ensures that individuals with disabilities have equal access and opportunity to participate in all county programs and services. Today's presentation will also provide updates on ADA projects currently in progress and those that have been completed. El Paso County takes a proactive approach to barrier removal. So far this fiscal year, we've completed 13 building inspections, 1 park inspection, and 41 plan reviews. Currently, 11 buildings still require inspection. We prioritize high-traffic locations, and over the past 2 years, our focus has been on our community centers. Of the 10 county parks, Security Park has been inspected in sections due to ongoing improvements. The transition plan is divided into 3 phases, each containing several key steps. Some of these steps have been completed, while others are ongoing and updated regularly. Phase 1 focuses on planning and self-evaluation. As part of Phase 1, the county established and filled the ADA coordinator position, ensuring dedicated oversight of accessibility efforts. The facility inventory is updated on a regular basis to keep information current. Survey tools are reviewed and refined as needed, and data collection is a continuous process to identify and address accessibility needs across county facilities. As part of Phase 1, we conduct self-assessments of our buildings. These inspections begin in the parking areas and move to the entrances and surrounding areas. We review key accessibility features, including parking spaces, passenger loading zones, sidewalks, accessible routes, and entrances. After completing the exterior assessment, we move indoors to evaluate interior accessibility. This ensures that accessible entrances connect seamlessly to programs and services. Key areas we review include hallways, such as checking the flooring, width, and protruding objects, corridors, restrooms, and other interior rooms and spaces. Program accessibility is a key part of county operations. In addition to ensuring facilities are accessible, we make sure all services, programs, and activities are readily accessible and usable by individuals with disabilities. This applies to both new and existing facilities. Phase 2 builds on the findings from Phase 1's facility inventory and data collection. This information is analyzed to develop recommendations and priorities, which are shared with Public Works, facilities, and the relevant departments. Community input and outreach are also an important part of this process. Phase 3 focuses on adoption and implementation of the transition plan once it's approved by Commissioners Court. The plan is updated every 2 years and serves as our guide for removing barriers, improving access to county programs, and training employees on accessibility standards. We've established a clear framework of action to reach our accessibility goals. Each year, we'll inspect 5 county facilities and re-inspect those previously reviewed as they come into compliance. After every inspection, we generate a detailed report based on the Department of Justice's priority list. Priority 1 is accessible entrances. Priority 2 is access to goods and services. Priority 3 is restrooms. And priority 4 includes amenities such as drinking fountains and public telephones. Recreation areas such as parks fall under an additional category. Each inspection report identifies deficiencies within the priority areas and details the steps needed to bring those areas into compliance with the Texas accessibility standards and the ADA accessibility guidelines. After each report is completed, it is shared with the department involved, as well as Public Works and facilities. We then work collaboratively with each department to bring the facility or area into compliance with the Texas accessibility standards and the Americans with Disabilities Act accessibility guidelines. When possible, ADA design designated funds approved by Commissioners Court during the budget hearings may be used for these improvements with authorization from Public Works. The updated transition plan being presented for court's consideration today is more concise and easier to read than the previous years. It highlights our accomplishments over the past year, outlines ongoing multi-year goals, and identifies future objectives. Key updates include the additions of the recently adopted public request for accommodations policy, information on the iSpeak 915 program, which offers American Sign Language and has been used at least 5 times since it was implemented this year. The number of facilities inspected and updated, an updated list of county-owned facilities, and expanded information on both the ADA and the Texas accessibility standards. I've talked about the inspection reports throughout this presentation, and this slide shows an example of what those reports look like. The length of each report varies depending on the facility size and the number of ADA findings. Each report provides detailed descriptions and photos of our identified deficiencies. As you can see, the report includes 4 columns. The survey question, which asks if an item is compliant. The Texas Accessibility Standard reference, which lists the standard for that item, a picture showing what the issue or deficiency is, and the violation or comments section explaining why it's not in compliance. This is the same format shared with Public Works, facilities, and each department. The next slide will highlight an example of an ADA improvement that has been completed based on these types of inspections. At the Wellness Center, we have enhanced accessibility by adding ADA compliant benches, 2 in the women's locker room and 1 in the men's. These benches meet ADA requirements for proper height, depth, and clear floor space, allowing individuals using wheelchairs to safely and comfortably transfer. The added space also ensures that all users have adequate room for mobility and accessibility needs. For this fiscal year, the ADA funds, including remaining allocations from 2024, with $48,000 in reserve specifically for emergency ADA repairs. These funds are separate from the budgets for construction projects, as ADA improvements are already incorporated into those projects and into the overall funding of those projects. Projects funded for this year include the Coliseum restroom ADA renovations, hardware-only updates to 7 courthouse doors closures, courthouse push-button door opener transmitters, hardware replacement for 2 main door push-button openers at the Youth Services Center, door replacement at the Old Dulce Digital Library, accessible bench remodels in the Wellness Center, Northwest Annex door operator replacement, and a push-button door opener linked to access control in the medical examiner's office. These expenditures reflect our commitment to maintaining accessible facilities across the county and ensuring compliance with ADA standards. The projects highlighted today would not have been possible without the budget approved by Commissioners Court and the support of our Public Works and Facilities departments. Their collaboration is essential to keeping our facilities accessible and compliant with ADA standards. We have asked Facilities Maintenance Director Robin Soley to join us today to help answer any questions you may have at the end of this presentation. As of fiscal year 24-25, we've completed a total of 28 building inspections. We've also inspected all county parks with the exception of sections of Escurity Park I mentioned earlier, which brings our total parks inspected to 10. Of the 28 county buildings we've inspected, 8 are in partial compliance as we continue remodeling and upgrades. 5 have reached substantial compliance with Texas accessibility standards and ADA accessibility guidelines, and the remaining buildings are still in progress towards full compliance. Of the 10 parks we've inspected, 5 are in partial compliance, 2 have reached substantial compliance, and 3 now include all abilities playgrounds for full accessibility. Over the past 5 years, the county has received 31 ADA grievances, all of which have been investigated and reported. Of these, 8 have been resolved, 4 are still pending or in progress, and 19 were unfounded. An unfounded grievance means that, after review, the item meets the ADA or the TAS standards. For example, if someone files a grievance about a courthouse sign and it met all the standards required by ADA and TAS, it would be considered unfounded. It is also important to note that of the 16 grievances received in 2022 and 2023, 10 came from the same individual. Since 2012, when the grievance process was implemented, the county has averaged 3.2 grievances per year, with roughly 1.5 of those being unfounded. In closing, we sincerely thank the Commissioners Court and County Administration for their ongoing support, and we'd be happy to answer any questions the court may have. Lastly, we placed an item on the court's agenda for Monday, November 24th meeting to formally adopt the updates to the transition plan.
I did have a question about the 2 pending grievance on the prior slide.
Yes, ma'am.
The 2 pending grievances from 2022. Do we know why? Is that normal that they'd be taking this long?
Yeah, it depends if it's a construction type project. I don't have the information on which 2 those are. I can get that to you.
Okay.
So yeah, if it's construction, it can take a while.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
Just
kind of why those are still pending.
Well, Amanda, thank you. As you know, some time back, that became quite a priority. I think you've done an amazing job. I get very few calls that I used to before, and thank you for addressing something that's so, we always talk about accessibility, and I've always said, we have to be the role model before we go out to the community. So thank you for everything that you've done. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you to HR as well. Thank you.
I'd like to jump ahead in the order, Judge, to item number 4F. Receive a presentation and update regarding the El Paso County FY26 budget.
Thank you. Welcome, Carmen.
Good morning, Judge, members of the court. Carmen Arrieta Candelara, I'm the Director of Budget and Finance for El Paso County. This is our first presentation on the fiscal year 2026 budget. I wanted to give you an update as to where we're at. So with that, just to give you a brief overview of the budget that you all adopted in September 15th, 2025. So here's on the next slide. Let me go there. So here's the budget. We adopted a budget of $635,665,000. 78% is for the general fund of a budget of $495,486,000. The remaining budget is consisted of the special revenue, debt service, the enterprise fund, and the capital projects. So all in all, you can see there visually the pie chart, which represents that the general fund is indeed the majority of our budget. So drilling down that a little bit into the general fund, here we have breakdown by program. Again, here is the $495,486,000. There are two major categories: the general government of $182,186,000, keeping in mind that $46 million of that is appropriated fund balance. And then the next largest is the public safety, $165,514,000. And in the other categories, there is the dollar amount, as well as visually you can see the pie chart where all the budget categories fall. This is what I want to provide to you on a regular basis, is where we're at as far as the budget, and provide you with a review of where we're at first and foremost in our general fund revenues. At the end of October, again, we adopted a budget of that $495,486,000. $79,907,000 is fund balance, so those are just funds that are available but are not current year revenues. Current year revenues is the $415,579,000, which is comprised predominantly of property taxes in the amount of $284,710,000 and $84 million of sales tax. So year to date in October, this is not a heavy year for revenues, heavy month for revenues. We generated $4,566,000 of revenue, or 1.11% of the budget through the end of October, looking at just current year revenues. When you look at the total available funds, we've only received less than 1%, or 0.93% of the budget. And that just speaks toward the cyclical nature of the revenues that the county receives. On the next slide is the general fund expenditures. So look at the corresponding expenditures again as of the end of October. We have $495 million again of expenditures that we've budgeted. $46.5 million is appropriated fund balance. October year to date for the month is $24,905,000, and we've already encumbered $8.1 million worth of commitments towards the budget. So our available budget at the end of October is $462,437,000. So we've spent or committed to date 6.67% of the budget. Okay. So how are we going to manage the budget in fiscal year 26? And this is really the management plan of how we propose to manage the budget. First and foremost, we're going to look at the revenues to determine, to affirm the budget estimates that come from the auditor's office. There is just my overview of the revenues. There's a strong correlation between their estimates and what we actually receive by the end of the year. So we're going to rely on those. And then we're going to go into the process of looking 3 to 5 years out to try to look and try to get ahead of where our budget is going to be in the future with regards to revenues. We also want to look at opportunities for new revenue growth. Are there opportunities that we can look within our budget to be able to augment our our current year revenues. One of the opportunities that we looked at was indirect cost. We're currently not being as aggressive as we could be on our indirect cost. So our indirect cost is, again, revenue to the general fund, and that is charged against grants. So on new grants, for example, is there an opportunity for us to be able to charge the grant without diminishing the program? So I'll give you a quick example. So if a grantor allows you to apply for $500,000, for example, and we've historically applied for $300,000, but they allow applications up to $500,000, well, that would be an opportunity for us to then apply the indirect cost and bring that revenue into the general fund. So again, we're looking at all of the grants to see if there are opportunities there that would not affect the program and the program delivery, but allow us to augment some additional revenues into our coffers. The other big categories, of course, are salary and benefits. It's about 70% of our budget, so it's a large category. And we want to look at the current year projections. We currently budget at 100% of the position, which includes vacancies. And so we're looking at estimating salaries, a step, a COLA for fiscal year 27. I know our administrator, Ms. Keller, has directed us to look at that to see what is the cost, and we're working with the Human Resources Department to determine what is that cost going into fiscal year 27 and looking at different options. So that's something that is certainly at the forefront of the work that I'll be doing during the year. We also are going to support the county administration team on the program and services inventory process that Ms. Melissa Carrillo will be presenting on another item here that's going to come up. But we're going to be looking at which programs are being funded, at what level and what cost, and then how aligned they are to the strategic plan for the county. So trying to do a more in-depth review of the actual programs that we have, how much they're costing us, what's it costing us, how many people, and so forth, so we can determine if we continue that recommendation. One of the large categories is also our utility expenses. So we have had some energy efficiency projects that I want to look at to determine what is going to be our utility expense going into not only this year, but also beyond, if there's some opportunities there for us to be able to cut back on the utility budget for next year. But there are some things on our horizon. We keep a budget register that this may be very familiar to all of you, but this is the budget register that the Budget and Finance Department maintains to look ahead. So we've got some things already on the budget register through the end of October. One is the CLEAT fiscal year 27 increases. That's part of a contractual increase that we've estimated at $5,267,000. We do have some judicial stipends that the board will consider in this year. So a third of the increase, I understand the amount is $18,000 to get to $25,000 over a 3-year period. So that impact would be $131,000. And then there was an annual agreement that was made recently that will have implications. This is the ADA website. In order to be compliant with ADA on our website. This is the cost for fiscal year 27, $58,363. I'm also going back and scrubbing some of the agendas just to affirm that these numbers are good and that there's not anything that we're missing. These are just the general fund impact. I know that the court has also committed some things also for HOT and the economic impact fund. So those will also be discussed and affirmed and then incorporated in future presentations. And then here is the bulk of the work, I think, for the next year is to looking at some of the things that we need to keep in mind as we build the budget for next year. Some of these are more than others, and I'm not necessarily going to touch on all of them, but it certainly can if you would like specific information. But one of the things is to restore our capital improvement program, the 1.5 cents that's in our policies, that impact. We currently have $3 million, so the impact of that would be $11.3 million on the budget. The risk pool contribution, we have provided for that in our contingency, that $4.4 million that will fall to the bottom line and will not be expensed. But that will have to be restored in the next year. And that was $4,467,000 that was budgeted, again, in the contingency, but will not be paid out in the year. The closeout of the American Rescue Plan programs, we'll be working closely with the auditor. I understand there's about $32 million currently in that fund. As projects are completed, these projects are settled, so there may be some opportunities there to garner some additional revenue or expenditure reduction in the general fund. So we're going to move to close those out. And then the costs associated with the personnel costs that I just indicated, as well as considerations for health care, retirement, looking at some of those things to see how they impact the budget. Then we have the contractual increases, any increases that are embedded in the contracts that we've already approved and brought to you. Some of them do have CPI increases, and those increases will have to be picked up in the budget. On the right-hand side, there's quite a number of projects there that most are looking forward, I would say past 2027, 28. For example, the operating costs for new bond projects. You heard a great presentation this morning from the CIP team, but we're looking at what is the cost for bringing those projects online? You know, as we bring the animal shelter, the medical examiners, what is the potential for the operating costs? Is there cost for personnel? Is there cost for more utilities? Is there cost for more security? You know, what are those things so that we can, again, build that 3 to 5 year model and we look ahead so we know what's coming and we can prepare ourselves in order to be addressing those needs. So those are, that is my last slide, just to provide you again an overview. I know we're only really 1 month into the new year, but know that my staff is really aligned and ready to do the work that is necessary to bring you a budget that is balanced and represents your commitment to the community. So with that, stand ready for any questions.
Just very appreciative. Some of the sort of looking ahead and anticipating things, so that's sort of a new dimension that I appreciate. I'm sure the commissioners do as well. But Betsy, anything that you want to add?
Judge, I just echo your comments. I really appreciate the approach that Carmen is taking and the engagement with the team and looking to see what we can do. And of course, like when she mentioned the looking ahead to FY27, like on the COLA and opportunities, I mean, that comes from discussions I've had with you all and just really the most engaged we've had with our budget team. When we say, hey, we want to do this, like seeing a responsiveness, preparation for it, and it's just greatly appreciated. And I do really like, one of the things we've always known that our revenue comes in at the beginning of the calendar year, and that it's the bulk comes in the first couple of months of the calendar year. But seeing the revenue timing and the cash flow with our expenses don't necessarily align with that revenue. And we've always talked about, and Barbara's always reminded us that we need that cushion at the beginning of the fiscal year to pay our expenses, that we can't deplete our fund balance because you need that to carry you this first quarter. But this type of reporting helps us clearly see that. So really appreciate what Carmen's bringing to the table. Thank you, Carmen, and we couldn't agree more. The more we can look ahead and get prepared.
Absolutely.
And honestly, as a department, the idea of forecasting out and budgeting, I've often wanted to be at a budget, like a 2-year budget or a 3-year budget, at least a good estimate. That way we're hearing from departments today what they're going to need 2 years from now, or things that are pending that we don't even know, that we can better prepare and plan for over time. So thank you, Carmen. Appreciate it. And just echo your comments,
Thank you,
Judge.
Betsy. I know you have a very, front row seat with Carmen, so we appreciate your comments. Anything, Commissioner Coronado?
I just wanted to ask, how have we closed out this past year already? Are we done? How long is that? Much longer is going to take, do you know?
I'll probably punt that over to Barbara, our county auditor. I think we're close.
I wouldn't say that we're close yet. We're trying to close the general ledger, the books, in the middle of December. The
Okay.
auditors are just getting started on looking at the financials for the year, but we do expect to have the audit completed by March 31st. So hopefully by the end of January, end of February, max, we'll be able to say we're done.
Okay.
But we're not there yet.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner. Thank you, Barbara. Carmen, thank you so much.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
your work. Thank you.
Carmen, Judge? Oh.
Commissioner Butler has a question.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, Carmen. I appreciate the overview and the presentation. I just had a question about the personnel costs for next year. Do you have an estimate or a projected cost that we should be looking at? Because I imagine that's probably the biggest one.
Great question. So part of our budget calendar and process is that we work closely with human resources. So they are in the process of running those numbers, and we just met this week. So he'll have those numbers, I would say. He's working on those numbers. I don't necessarily have an estimate, but we have done our own projections, and we have some potential numbers that then we work together to affirm that to that number. So I don't have it today, but we are working that. We're working very closely with HR to make sure that we know what those numbers are, and giving various options. Looking at 0.5%, 1%, 1.5% for a COLA, and so forth. So we're looking at various options to see, what is the cost of not just personnel salaries, but also benefit. What are the benefit costs, and how much is that going to be if we do have an increase for next year?
Okay, when do you think we'll be able to start seeing some of those numbers?
I think we'll be able to have those by next month.
By next month, yeah.
Okay.
I think one of the things that is, we have stable numbers when it comes to personnel because of the fact that we have not been able to give raises. So that has, those numbers are stabilized, and we're able to do more concrete estimates.
I understand. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. Okay.
Thank you, Carmen.
Thank you so much.
Caesar?
Going back to item number 4D, receive a presentation regarding county departments, programs, and services, inventory, and analysis.
Judge, Commissioners, as Melissa makes her way up here, this is an item I have been talking to you all about individually, and it's as a result of your discussion during the budget process this last fiscal year as we were adopting for FY26. And really, the goal that we have been looking at, or the goal that we've been aiming towards, is to be able to operate and take care of our responsibilities, take care of our operations, while managing state mandate impacts. We cannot continue to manage these state impacts and take care of our operations at the level we're operating at now. And rather than just come in and ask departments to take across the board decreases, we really need to analyze and look at what are we doing. We often use the words, this last budget cycle, we often use the words mandated, non-mandated. And for our departments, that can be really demoralizing and hard, because some of even what is not mandated is so critical and impactful. And some of what's mandated, or departments that are mandated, sometimes are doing things that aren't mandated as part of their operation. And so by doing a deeper dive and looking at what we do and looking at what it costs, what its impacts are, what the revenue it generates, and just breaking down programs will give us a better picture for the court to be able to prioritize what operations should we continue, what operations should we increase, what operations should we decrease. And in meeting, before today, in meeting with our elected officials, several of our elected officials I've sat down and talked to, this also empowers them to look at their own operations and see, what am I doing and how much does it cost, and what kind of an impact am I getting out of that operation? And I think there's a real interest in partnership with our elected officials to do this. So with that, that was our goal in bringing this today. The court had requested. We said we'd bring that back this month, so that's what today's item is to do. But it's really to get to be to the point where we can afford to take care of what we do have. So we can take care of our employees. We can restore our capital. And to do that, it's going to take some really important prioritization of what we do and looking at what we do. And with that, I'll turn it over to Melissa.
Thank you, Betsy. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Melissa Carrillo with County Operations. So as Betsy mentioned, we purposely wanted to go after your budget presentation because it's a perfect segue into what are we doing to become as efficient as possible as we enter your FY27 budget discussions. So on screen, you can see that based on that budgeting position, it's important we meet with our departments to conduct and engage in this analysis, that information will then impact and help us with what that budget outcome looks like for the next few years. So as Betsy mentioned, we are already actively doing these things. Many of the departments are already looking within to see what do their programs do, what do their services offer, who do they provide services to, and really the question is for the departments to independently analyze their own operations to say, am I doing this in the most efficient way possible? Am I using people where possibly I can consider vacancies and instead do outsourcing? Am I really using the best methods to generate the best services for our community? We don't want to compromise what we provide to the community. We just need to take a real hard look into how we're doing it to see if there's better ways. And so ultimately, that analysis, the goal is to create what we're calling this programs and services inventory. And this inventory will help us outline what programs exist within our departments, what services exist within our departments, what are the number of FTEs we use to conduct this, what are the costs, and then it helps department heads make their own decisions on, I hadn't looked at this in some time, maybe there's opportunity here for us to do things a little differently. Maybe we shift personnel, maybe we do things that just really get us a better bang for our buck. And so I want to use the next few slides to just give a personal example. I have Carmen obviously in the audience, and we have Derek Ware, who's our Financial Recovery Division Manager. He sits in the lower level of this courthouse, and him and his team work hard every day to collect on revenue that's due to us from court cases and other programs. And so I want to show just a little bit about as we work with departments, what does that look like? And so for FRD, here's an example. We know that the program cost, the staff salaries, the equipment, the operational cost, it costs us about $1.8 million to run your FRD program. And in turn, the collection outcome, it varies, but right now we're sitting at about a $5.6 million recovery. So we're investing 1/3 to recover 3 times that investment, right? And so we're looking to see, is this the best we can do? Is there a way to maximize that just a bit further? And so the next few slides are just going to show data of what the department currently tracks. And you can see on the top side of the screen, the top portion, these are just fourth quarter numbers year to year of interviews conducted versus public assisted. Those assistants, those are done in person. The interviews are when our FRD team meets with the clients to determine what their financial eligibility is to pay back on some of these court cases and these fees. Whereas the right side, the public assisted, are those that actually come in person and say, we'll make it happen. So part of the interviews are included in your public assisted numbers. Not everybody requires that financial assistance, but ultimately on the right side, you can see that that's who's actually coming in and setting up those payment plans or making those payments. This next slide highlights where does that recovery typically take place. And this shows your FRD locations throughout your county. You, of course, see the downtown station is your highest collection point. The majority of what comes in on recovery is here in this courthouse, but you can see your Deputy Pete Herrera station located in the far east side, your northeast, your Isleta, other stations including your JP courts, ePay, DASLP is your collections firm that we partner with, Delgado, Alcosta, Spencer, Linebarger. Did Did I get that right? And then your kiosk. And your kiosk, we have 3 kiosks currently placed, and 2 of those 3 are strategically placed in areas where you do not currently have an annex and people cannot go pay in person, but they pay in kiosks. The outlier here that I think is important for the court to know is there's 1 kiosk that's actually at your northeast annex as well. And I asked Derek, how impactful is that? And Judge Haggerty, who's located at Precinct 2 in the Northeast Station, it's very impactful because of these places on screen. That kiosk in the Northeast Station is the one that collects at nights and weekends when people can go and pay when the offices are closed. And it generates quite a bit of revenue. And so you'll see your kiosks do collect some funds for us as well. And then when you look at recovery by case type, so you'll see the largest case recovery is within your JP courts, followed by your county courts, and then your district courts. And again, that's a direct correlation to the types of cases that these clients are involved in. And then this last slide shows the cases referred on the left side, meaning how many cases are referred for collection, and then versus on the right side, what are the value of those cases. So in FY25, once that year concluded, 11,457 cases were referred for collection, which valued about $5.6 million. So quite a bit of referrals are happening right now. Carmen, as you know, is new. One of the things that she came in right away and looked at, she said, we have over $100 million in cases that have not yet been collected. And we said, yes, ma'am, we know. And we do have a contract. We do work with our collection agency to recover. But when we sit there and look at where are financial opportunities, where are revenue opportunities, this absolutely is a point where we're looking to see how can we make a bigger impact and a bigger dent, because it is not good to have $100 million out there in revenue that could otherwise be within our general fund coffers. And so as we close up in looking at some of this data, we work with Derek and his team and we say, what can we do to review not only the delivery of services and how we provide these collection services, but what are the opportunities? And right now the team is working on an opportunity with our county attorney's office to collect on hot taxes. Because right now FRD is focused on the clients who come through our court system, but there's opportunity for them to collect on other monies due to the County of El Paso. And so one of those is hot taxes. Derek, I cannot remember the number off the top of my head. It's $1 million? A little over $1 million in uncollected hotel hot taxes? We're estimating a little over $1 million in uncollected hot taxes that currently are not being, there's no efforts to recover them. So we're working on expanding our services to go out and get money that we otherwise weren't trying to get in the past. So again, sitting down and actually looking at these things. What else can we do? How do we generate more revenue? How do we cut expenses? How can we do things more efficiently? And so we're working on improving our collections targets and our KPIs. But again, this is a good example just to share with the departments that are watching and to highlight for the court what efforts can be made so that we can start doing things a lot more efficiently in the years to come, because we're going to need it. So the next steps regarding this program and services inventory is support those departments. As Betsy mentioned, she's already working with them. Departments have already told her that they're looking at their own operations, but now we'd like to reach out and support them. Our budget team stands ready to go and sit with them. We've created some forms to help make it easier for them to assess their operations. We want to support them as much as possible as they analyze their independent operation. We want to create these inventories that can be used as guides as we work on budget decisions for the next few years. And then, of course, as we work with departments to get some of these outcomes, we want to share those with you to see where efficiencies can be identified and gained for the coming years. And with that, are there any questions, comments?
Commissioner Olguin?
Thank you, Melissa. Just going back to the discussion on the kiosks and how successful it's been at JP2 because it's after hours. So that's just one of the 3. The other 2, where are those located? And those aren't used after hours, like the JP2 one?
I'm going to turn these specific questions over to Derek. He manages those.
Okay.
Derek Ware?
Morning, everyone. Derek Ware, Budget and Finance Department.
Welcome.
So we do have, excuse me, I'm a little sick, so I lost my voice a couple of days ago. We do have 3 kiosks, and one of the other kiosks is over at our Vinton location, the Northwest Annex, and in the East Side Annex. Through CIP, we had the rooms, 24/7 accessible rooms constructed to house these kiosks. So we could have individuals go in after hours or on weekends to utilize these machines. But we have found out that the Northeast kiosk is the most productive when it comes to after-hour activities.
So the other two, there is after-hours accessibility. It's just they're not being utilized as much by the public?
That is correct, Commissioner. All three of them are 24/7 accessible. Northeast is the most productive after hours, but all of them do get after-hour activity. We do see that. We are constantly looking at the data and trying to find out where's the best place to put these machines. Originally, one of the kiosks was located over at the tax office, or the Escada at the annex. But it was located in their lobby, and whenever the lobby would close, folks wouldn't have access to the machine. So we worked with the tax office and we decided to move the machine to the east side annex. We took a bit of the JP's vestibule and constructed a 24/7 accessible room, and we housed the machine in that location. When we did that, we did see an increase in production from that machine. Ultimately, again, we're constantly looking at ways to improve services to the community.
So that was going to be my question, actually, specifically about the tax office, because I think sometimes people plan on paying in person, and then they get there and they see it's a long line, or they do close, I think, at 4 or 4:30. Can we look at whether there is a way to make it accessible after hours, or even just for people who don't want to stand in line?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. That's something that we're definitely looking at. We're currently working with JPD. They would like to start having some of their fees processed through the kiosk. And part of my conversation with them is if they could look around their space, and maybe we could construct a 24/7 accessible room where JPD's at. It would benefit the tax office over at Escárate and JPD. And then, of course, anyone that lives in that area, they would have that 24/7 accessibility. So yes, ma'am, absolutely, we are looking into that.
Okay, that makes sense for the JPD fees, but I feel like at the tax office itself, I've been there sometimes thinking, oh, I'll run in and pay, get my registration or whatever, and the line is just super long, and it would be really easy if there was an automated
So
payment
Commissioner,
opportunity.
if I may, so the kiosk does not take care of that.
Oh, it doesn't?
None of the kiosks do that. So the kiosk, like if you go to register your vehicle and you owe us money, you'll get stopped. And so then you can go to the kiosk and pay, correct?
That is correct, yes, ma'am.
But you can't go and pay for your registration.
Okay, so what are the payments that the kiosk can take then? Like court costs then, or?
It's like fines and fees that you owe the county delinquently.
That is correct, yes, ma'am. So scofflaw, someone has an outstanding fee, scofflaw will prevent them from getting their vehicle registration. And at that point, they have to pay those court costs back to the county for that lock to be released, so then they could register that vehicle. So that, in a sense, we do support that effort. As far as a machine that is specifically supporting tax office vehicle registration.
Or, I mean, not necessarily that. My point is just that sometimes people show up to the tax office and there's a long line. Just having another place to make payments, I don't know.
I think that's a great idea, and that is one of our goals in the strategic plan, is to make people have other ways of doing transactions automated, more not having to stand in front of a person.
Yeah.
It's like now when you go to Walmart, you can check out yourself, or you can wait for somebody to check you out. So for the people who would take advantage of the check yourself out, and it could be open 24/7, you could go to that location. So that is one of our goals, but we will look to see if there's a way, and not just for the tax office. Some of our kiosks, I do know, are new separate kiosks. So we probably need to refer to our kiosk by names, back to names, but some of our kiosks that we've recently added, like the one that we did out at Fort Bliss, the ribbon cutting for the one in Fort Bliss, those have ability to do more than I think we're even using them for. But those would be options where you could and the team knows I say this all the time, I hate that I have to drive to the park to pay for my picnic shelter or to pay for my overnight camping. Why can't I just do this online? Or why can't I go out to a kiosk and do this myself? And so that is one of our goals, and something we've asked ITD to work on to help us accelerate more of those options. And we can look at 24-hour kiosk at different locations to
It's
do
just the
that.
tax office has so much traffic, and I wonder if we could just get rid of some of that.
We
of the
really-
standing in line piece of it.
I think I've also mentioned to Melissa that communications, encouraging people to do it online, we did it a lot during the pandemic. During the pandemic, a lot of people went to online transactions. And you can renew your registration online. But a lot of people choose to go in person. And so whatever we could do to try to encourage people to do that as well would help minimize those lines.
Or also like hot tax, right? Like we're talking about trying to collect Airbnb hot tax. I mean, I have to go down or send a check in the mail. Who uses checks anymore?
Right.
You know, like it's just.
Right.
Commissioner Coronado.
I do.
He does.
You're old school, it's fine.
We're currently,
I mean, but, you know, I should be able to pay anything that I owe to the county online.
I agree.
Anything, any money, it just makes it
Right.
so much easier. We're
We-
talking about $100 million in revenue that we're not, that's owed to the county and we're not bringing in. You know, I mean, we need to make it easy for people to
I
pay.
agree.
Yeah.
And those are programs and projects we have underway with IT.
And that was going to be one of my questions is, our recovery division here, do they accept all forms of payment? I know in the past they had not.
so yes, sir, we do accept all forms of payment.
Including cash?
Yes, sir. The kiosks that we utilize, that we have implemented, they even accept cash transactions.
Okay. And the other question is, do we have ATMs available? I know we'd had one in the lobby on the first floor. Has that already been replaced? Because I know the vendor.
Yes, sir, those ATMs have been implemented.
And do we have ATMs at other locations where that can happen?
We do have ATMs now in place at more locations. I will get you a list of where we have them.
Okay. And I mean, and the other thing is like the kiosk similarly that we put out at Fort Bliss for everybody to be able to do that. I mean, that might be an avenue of expanding services throughout.
And we're definitely looking at even using those kiosks. We've been working with the sponsor of those kiosks and seeing the technology behind it. And right now, we're looking at ways to continuing to expand services to the community. And one of those is communicating with the public through those AI kiosks.
Yeah.
We found out that it has a really good feature where you could basically video time with the public in real time. So we're currently working on that. So therefore, if someone's over at Fort Bliss and they need to contact somebody out of my office, they could use that AI kiosk. And essentially, it's a Teams video call where they could be kind of like when you go to GCU and you pick up the phone and you see that person through a video on live time. That's what we're working with right now to do that through those kiosks.
Okay.
So that would be great, and that would avoid the public having to drive to different locations.
Okay. And the other question I have is when we take payments by credit cards, is that, I know there's a processing fee. Everybody, all the banks have it. Do we charge the credit card holder, or is it incurred on our side and they just lessen the payment? How is that working?
So the convenience fee is paid by the credit card holder. The county does not pay that fee.
So they added on top of that?
That is correct, yes, sir.
And see, and that's a higher rate. So sometimes people end up paying less because they know they're going to get added on to 4%, roughly about 4%.
It's $2.95, I believe. Do you know, Derek, the actual, and then it's up to a certain amount, or?
After 100, it's $2.95, and it's 1.95% a percentage for anything less than that.
That's added on to them?
Yes, sir.
So it's not the regular 3.6 or 3.8%?
No, sir. No.
Okay, then that's more palatable.
It is something I've also asked, Commissioner. I think credit card fees are extremely outdated.
Yeah.
I think it should be folded into our cost. But right now, that is how we're doing it.
Yeah. And then can we go back to that slide where we have the cost here of the cost of here, the one at the courthouse, what that is? Can we read that slide? The costs at the different locations. So these are our courthouse
These
one, the
are
recovery
not
downtown.
cost, but recovery.
Huh?
This is recovery by
Collections.
location.
Yeah, the recovery, the downtown one I'm talking about, which is the highest cost. It's like $1.5 million.
No, that's not cost. That's how much we collected in '24, fiscal year '24.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is our
And the
down-
next one is how much we collected in fiscal year '25. And this is, we're providing this to the court. We are going to dive deep into each one of these with you all. when we finish collecting them from all departments.
Okay, I thought we were being presented cost versus what we're collecting.
No, sir, that's just showing the collections year over year.
So what is our cost?
5.6 million.
On this screen, the cost to operate your FRD team right now.
1.8 million?
1.8, yes, sir.
And like, for example, at the, what is the biggest part of that cost?
Staffing.
Staffing.
Staffing, yes, sir. There's a total of 25 staff dedicated to the FRD team, which equates to about 1.4 million with salaries and fringe.
So Commissioner, that's exactly, we used this illustration today to show you that's exactly the kind of information we're going to bring back and we're going to ask the departments to dive into. So for example, do you all remember when we looked at a couple years ago, we looked at veterans, our Veteran Services Office, and it was costing us like $1.30 to give $1 in our grant.
Yeah.
And we said, this isn't reasonable. And so we went back, had the department work on it, and now we've reduced our cost, and more money is going to the actual recipients than it is costing us to run the program.
Yeah, that's the kind of analysis I was thinking about for the cost versus,
And-
here we have just a general cost, but I'd like to be disaggregated to see, okay, what investment is actually yielding the best collection?
Exactly. Right.
And do we need to invest in that, scale
Yes.
down, scale up on the others?
That's
Can we
exactly what
reduce
we'll bring
that,
back.
staffing costs in certain areas because of, investing in other collection
So we will do a
means?
cost benefit analysis on each one of these methods. And when we bring it back to meet with the court in the spring,
Yeah.
that's the type of information we'll bring back. What is the cost benefit analysis of each of these options? And so for illustration purposes, we picked on FRD today.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you, Derek, for being so gracious with us.
Good sport, good
But
sport.
that's exactly what we want to do. We want to dive in, and today we're just looking at FRD. You can imagine, and we're still want that cost benefit piece of it. This is just the data we have as of today. When we bring it back, we expect to have more cost benefit. And then we want to dive into each of those. And the departments, we expect will even come back with some of their own recommendations. So I can see Derek coming back and saying, you know what, we've looked at this. We think we can reduce our cost here or increase kiosk. And it's going to be more cost benefit return positive for the county. And we're going to bring that on multiple programs and services. This is going to be our workshop. This is going to be our normal annual retreat this next spring, is going through all of this data from all the departments and programs and services.
And obviously, a big part of that where we collect is at the tax assessor collector's offices throughout. So I wanted to see what is best working and how can we optimize that part of it.
Absolutely.
And just just one more point that I wanted to make regarding the FRD and the work that's done there is, I don't know how much of that money that is still owed to the county is because of the fact that people are indigent and they can't pay, and we shouldn't be burdening people who are indigent, in my opinion, with fees and fines and things like that. So we need to
I agree with you, and that's why.
aggregate that data as well and try to understand what's going on there and how much of that is actually coming from or due to us by people who
Yeah,
can't
and
pay
that
for
we're
it.
trying to collect the uncollectible amounts that should be written
Right.
off. And so
Right.
we
Exactly.
really need to look at all those angles. And I know the judges, specifically, I know at the JPs, they should be doing that because that's required by law, that they can't put out, jail anybody. If they have a warrant for unpaid tickets or whatever, they have to do an indigency hearing before jailing anybody. And I just want to make sure that we are doing that. I know the city had an issue there a few years back, but I know that they corrected those problems. And so that's the kind of thing we need to be really keeping in front. And I think Joel maybe can help with the judicial council can look at those issues.
One thing I do want to clarify for the record, earlier I stated over 100 million. As I stepped away, my staff let me know that number is actually 67 million. There were some calculation changes that were made, so it's 67 million in uncollected amounts at this point. So just want to clarify that for the record.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think it also makes sense to look at that because
How much
If
of
we're,
it's-
if we're spending staff time and money on going after funds that we're not gonna get because people are indigent, I mean, it's also, we're wasting our own money.
Yeah.
Melissa, thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Item number 4E, receive a presentation from Binational Affairs on a binational policy roundtable proposal, discuss and provide staff feedback.
Hi, good morning, Judge Commissioners. Mariana Barraza, Binational Affairs. Today, I will present to you a proposal called the Binational Policy Roundtable. As you know, our binational region is becoming increasingly interconnected, and the goal of this initiative is to establish a permanent framework that aligns priorities and strengthens bilateral policy coordination. This proposal is intended to help El Paso County stay informed, remain connected, and collaborate with our Mexican counterparts on issues that impact both sides of the border as well as Mexico's non-border states.
Mariana, I'm sorry, could I just introduce one thing about this? This is in your strategic plan. The court has been asking us to work on this binational relations. And I also want to commend the team for their work on this. Thank you all for bringing it. But just wanted to remind us where this is coming from. The court has long asked for more work at a binational level and having a roundtable between the county and our partners. And so Mariana and Roberto have been working on this and wanted to bring it forward for your feedback. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Mariana.
The main goal is to create a clear and steady communication channel so the county leadership can easily follow binational updates and stay aligned on topics like infrastructure, mobility, economic development, and tourism, just to name a few. This proposed framework seeks to establish a strong governmental mechanism to share information and collaborate and plan more effectively. The roundtable can become the primary platform where both governments jointly define common priorities, coordinate technical work, plan cross-border infrastructure, support nearshoring and economic competitiveness, develop joint tourism and cultural strategies, strengthen environmental and public health coordination with Chihuahua in this case, to improve response to emerging issues and leverage trade and other cross-border opportunities. This proposal was crafted after conducting an extensive research, reviewing and comparing past and existing models including like the Border Governors Conference, the California-Mexico Border Relations Council, NatBank Cross-Border Environmental Coordination Frameworks, New Mexico Chihuahua Binational Commissions, et cetera. But these were just consulted as examples to structure this proposal. I wanted to make that very clear. Based on the research of the prior binational framework structures, we have identified the following as key elements for a successful model under the proposed structure and governance. Having a plenary session where El Paso County or state-level representatives from Mexican counterparts, a technical secretariat led by the County Economic Development and Binational Affairs Division, and a permanent commissions. Each one could be co-chaired by one representative from each side of the border. And here are the proposed permanent commissions and their main focus areas for your consideration. Infrastructure, mobility, and border crossings. This section focuses on collaboration around mobility corridors, ports of entry, roadway connectors in major projects that shape mobility with the County of El Paso, such as the Tornillo Port of Entry and the Libramiento, I-10, and all the logistics involved. Another commission would be Economic Development, Trade, and Investment. This is to support nearshoring, strengthen supply chains, promote investment, organize trade missions, and work with industry sectors and clusters. Tourism, arts, and culture. This is to build shared tourism routes, Mission Trail, Pueblos Mágicos, support cultural exchanges, and create joint marketing and initiatives. Environment, natural resources, and water. Coordinate with IBWC and SILA and NatBank on water, energy, waste, and environmental resilience. Public health and emergency management. Enhance cross-border communication for health issues, emergencies, and develop joint trainings and coordinated response exercises. And the following are proposed annual deliverables for the court's consideration. One-page recommendations per commission, an annual progress report, binational priority projects list, and joint declarations. For the implementation and for the implementation section, this is a roadmap that's proposed, and it's going to be an 8-month plan divided into 6 quarterly milestones. For example, we have quarter 1, establishment phase. This is ratify charter and formalize commissions, designate co-chairs and secretariats, launch technical subgroups, and set meeting schedules. And the quarter 2 would be the coordination phase. It's to establish communication protocols between commissions, identify key federal, state, and municipal liaisons, develop shared digital workspace for document exchange, a repository. And then number 3, in the quarter number 3 would be the diagnostic phase, share baseline studies and data collection, as well as strategic plans. Then the map by national infrastructure, trade, and tourism assets, and compile policy and regulatory frameworks relevant to each commission. Quarter number 4 would be the planning phase. This is to draft preliminary action plans for each commission, align priorities with federal, state agencies, and binational entities. The quarter number 5 would be development phase, advance technical project proposals, organize bilateral working sessions and stakeholder consultations, develop and share promotional and communication materials. Quarter number 6, presentation and evaluation phase. This is to produce an annual binational progress report, and at the end, host a signature plenary presentation and policy roundtable event, as well as approve the next phase work plan and renewal of commissions. The Binational Policy Roundtable provides a structured, long-term framework for El Paso County to collaborate on shared policy binational priorities and advance coordinated binational initiatives. It strengthens coordination and supports cultural and economic initiatives, as well as create a space for joint solutions to common challenges. At this stage, this is only a proposal, and we look forward for guidance, ideas, and perspectives.
Thank you, Mariana. Comments?
Thank you, Mariana, for the presentation. I'm really excited about this. This is something that I've been asking for and advocating for probably since I've been in office, and so it's great to see this come into fruition. And I think it's very well thought out, and I think that I like the roadmap. I like the fact that we can look at these milestones and be able to track the work that's going to be done. I'm super happy with this work. So great job. Looking forward to seeing its progression, and I think it's in great hands, so thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I think, there's so many, not random, but, we get involved in so many things, and this seems sort of to put it all together. I know Commissioner Stout and myself have been involved in so many international with Index, participating in events, but I always felt like it wasn't structured properly. Like, what is it that we can do to sort of maintain? I really feel that the county, more than the city, has that kind of lane. I mean, we participate much greater in international than anybody, including the delegations. And so I think that I would love for that lane to continue to be the counties, and I think this will lead us there. Thank you, Mariana.
One of the things when we were at that forum, what was that, a month or 2 months ago, downtown? I did hear from some of the, individuals that came forward from the different organizations in Mexico, including Juarez, and someone were very vocal about the fact that they were dissatisfied with timing. And I think this probably avenue will allow better facilitation of pending projects and stuff on both sides that will allow for that timing issue to be resolved, because some of them were complaining that they didn't have enough time, they didn't have enough information. So I think this is probably an avenue that, if you have something fixed, will, tend to be able to solve some of those issues that people are complaining about. Now, the information got out, but maybe not everybody got it, right? It's the same thing when we do our outreach, is that not everybody gets it, and then they start complaining that they didn't get the information, even though there was some kind of an outreach done. And so I think this is probably an avenue that will help with that kind of facilitation. And so, I mean, and I just hope, right now they're challenging times with our federal system, right? Being able to get on board with this, but regardless, this is still going to help us locally here to do that, regardless of what the other, and so I think this is a great thing for us to do.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mariana.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Commissioner Butler?
Hi. Mariana, thank you so much for the presentation and for all the work that you've put into this. I appreciate the thoughtfulness in the commissions. I think, during COVID, we wish that something like this would have existed, especially for public health and emergency management. And my question is about staffing and sustainability for a program of this size. So do you have a staffing plan for this already available, or is it just going to be you, Mariana,
Roberto.
together?
Yes, Commissioner Roberto Ransom, Director of Economic Development. If I may respond to that question. Yes, thank you, Commissioner Butler. Several other models that we studied as part of bringing this proposal, they do have a full FTE, making sure that this framework is successful. And it really depends on the appetite, not only on the agency that has that FTE, but with other entities. So to be completely honest, we can capitalize on this framework on the existing synergies that we have, because we have identified already, Commissioner Butler, different secretariats in Mexico that they want this. They want a joint declaration. They want an MOU. So this will be the vehicle. This is the prime vessel that we're proposing. We understand that this year, everybody's tightening a little bit their belts, but we're hoping that for future fiscal years, the division for binational affairs can grow. And if not, to capitalize on existing synergies that we already have under this framework.
Roberto, if I may add, Commissioner Butler, also, and I know we've discussed this before, Commissioner Stout, But some of the models that we've actually toured and seen in the past, there's also, there is so much value that the other members, you get to the point where you create a framework that the other members contribute. And so they help contribute an amount to help fund additional resources. That's some of what we've seen in other models, and it seems to work. But it is going to take a heavy lift on our part, especially Mariana and Roberto, but moving it and keeping it alive and keeping everybody engaged. But if we show the value, there's also a goal of having those other partners help contribute to help staff this adequately.
Yeah, I just, I think that's, absolutely correct. The other models we've seen, but, within the staffing table that we have right now, are we able to make sure that, for example, our binational affairs coordinator is basically spending the bulk of her time doing binational affairs and bringing this to fruition and making sure that it's taken care of. I mean, I guess the question is, we probably do need more staff at some point in the future, but are we making sure that we're putting our current staff that is designated for this to work in this on this yeah.
Yes, Commissioner, thank you so much for that comment, because the leadership that the chief administrator and the leadership as well from Commissioner Court is really strategic right now for us to not work on projects on a reactive way and be able to allocate Mariana's time little by little, day by day on this type of projects. What really consumes our bandwidth is the reaction to short-term activities that really we have to drop everything and we have to accommodate short-term requests. But right now we are in a scouting pilot approach, and we have been already doing this again for other efforts where we do like a business plan. Let me give you an example of what has been successful, Commissioner Stout, just to respond to that question. The binational Guadalupe Tornillo Task Force, we plan 3 events a year. We were able to accomplish very substantial agendas, substantial trips to Chihuahua. And that is because it's planned, we know what to do, and we spend day by day time moving forward and generating those nexus with our partners. So right now, I want to say confidently yes, because of your leadership, that will allow us to plan long-term.
And in the meantime, I want to make sure that you and Roberto and Mariana know that my office especially is available for support, for collaboration, for helping move this initiative forward, because this is kind of my baby, and so I want to make sure that it's successful. And so, I'm ready, willing, and able to put myself and my staff at the disposition of you and Mariana for future work on this and closer collaboration if that's possible.
Thank you for offering that resource. Appreciate it, Commissioner. Yes.
Thank you for that,
Roberto,
Commissioner.
Mariana, I will, I'll also offer my support. I know how challenging it is to put together a binational group of stakeholders. That was my full-time job. So Mariana, I sympathize, and I'm sorry for the work you're gonna have to do. Yeah, let me know if there's anything that I can do to support as well. And I just wanna, I hope that we could keep an open mind, because the models that I've seen of binational groups, across the US-Mexico border are usually led by foundations or nonprofits. And I think it is, it's a good thing that the county is taking the lead because there is a need for this type of group here. And, you know, in the absence of anybody else doing it, I think we're well poised to take that position and to start this initiative. But I hope that we'll keep an open mind about maybe rolling it out of the county at some point in the future when it's established, or, you know, not necessarily being something that we have to own, you know, forever. But maybe we can hand off at some point in the future.
Yeah, and that's something that we can, I think, definitely look at. For me, it's just, I want to make sure that this is something that doesn't go away when we go away, right? Something that's institutionalized and that is, you know, goes on into perpetuity when I'm not around, when, you know, people who have been advocating for this, like you, Commissioner Butler, are not around, and you know, it's bigger than all of us, I think. And I also see, Betsy, a lot of nexus with this project and the work that Mariana's been doing in international, you know, government relations, right? So I think there's a huge nexus with, you know, we're looking at possibly bringing on some federal government relations help. We have Alicia on the state side. This is also intergovernmental relations. I think a lot more than economic development, to be quite honest with you. So, you know, I think we need to look at it through that lens as well, and keep I think our eyes on kind of that intergovernmental relations structure and umbrella.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much for today's direction. We will keep the tables, the structure, the framework, the bedrock as we propose today, with the different tables, the infrastructure, economic development, tourism, environmental resource, and public health. And this will be organized having in mind that the structure will be having plenary sessions, the technical secretariat that will be represented by National Affairs Division, and that we will be working with Ms. Keller to appoint the different permanent commissioners for each one of these tables. So thank you very much for the direction provided today.
Mariana, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mariana. Thank you, Roberto. Roberto, can they keep this one since it's not, was that okay? Thank you.
He's used to the
Collecting.
Yeah.
It's conditioning.
Give me back my marbles.
Item number 4G, discuss the updates to the uniform rules and procedures for county boards.
We're asking to delete this item. We'll bring it back. We have some additional input and suggestions, so we'll bring this one back.
We have a motion and a second, please.
Second.
Sorry, I'd already clicked on it, but.
We have a motion from Commissioner Holguin, second from Commissioner Stout. Voting is open.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Commissioner
everyone.
Butler.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Stout. Judge?
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Motion carries. Item number 4H, recognize El Paso County for being selected as this year's Invisio Projects Anniversary True Transparency Award winner.
Judge, Commissioners, before I turn it over to Lorena to present on this item, I've been thinking about this item. We got notified, I think, just last week that we were receiving this recognition. But I think back to when we very first started with Invisio, And Lorena's going to share a little bit of information about what we've done and what this recognition is. But it was a up and coming business. I mean, they were being used by other municipalities and other local governments. And I'd actually seen, Wally and I had actually seen it in use in a couple places. And we started working with them way back then. And we've been working with them for over 7 years. But I'll let Lorena talk about this, but I really do think that as we've elevated our public transparency, we have pushed and pushed on Invisio to do more. We've pushed their software to be better. And that's because of the court's commitment to public transparency, our team's work on making this work better for us, and the features that the software didn't have. Every time I see them at a conference, we always laugh because I tell them we make them work harder than anyone else. And they can't disagree. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lorena. I just really appreciate that they've taken the time to give us this recognition.
Thank you, Betsy. Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. I'm Lorena Rodriguez with County Administration. It is my great pleasure to be here today to speak on behalf of another significant accomplishment for El Paso County. Our county is committed to transparency and strong project management, recognizing that effective project management enhances accountability and strengthens public trust through clear communication, well-defined processes, and accessible information. In November 2023, Invisio Solutions Incorporated launched the project dashboard system known as Invisio Projects. This system was specifically designed for the public sector to manage capital improvement projects with an emphasis on visibility, collaboration, and transparent communication. El Paso County has been an Invisio customer since 2018, using its analytic tools, planning features, and public dashboards to support strategic planning efforts. Invisio allows the county to capture strategic goals, define action steps, track timelines, and clearly identify the department's responsibility for each task. When El Paso voters approved 3 of the 5 capital improvement bond propositions, county staff began utilizing Invisio projects to keep the community informed about all the projects funded through the bond. El Paso County, the county became the first local government to launch Invisio's project dashboard publicly. This past week, Invisio reached out to notify staff that El Paso County had been selected for this year's Project's Anniversary True Transparency Award, recognizing the county for creating and publishing an exceptional number of projects and dashboards. This designation identifies El Paso County as a top projects performer. The award reflects the breadth and consistency of our team's efforts. We created the highest number of projects and use cases in Invisio, published one of the largest collections of public project dashboards, and added the second highest number of departments to the system. Our commitment to aligning projects with strategic priorities and reporting regularly demonstrates transparent and effective project management at its best. Our work has also inspired many other communities in Texas and across Invisio customers' network. This achievement would not have been possible without the dedication of our county administration team, our county administrator, our deputy county administrators, department heads, and their staff, who work closely with county administration each month to provide updates on strategic plan initiatives and capital improvement bond projects. I would also like to extend a special thank you to our Invisio Senior Customer Success Manager, Alicia, whose guidance and support have been invaluable in helping staff effectively share information with El Paso County residents through Invisio projects. Our prize for this recognition is a celebratory cake from a local bakery. Commissioners Court, we invite you to join us this afternoon to enjoy the cake and celebrate this outstanding achievement together. So I hope you have a sweet tooth, because I know we're going to be celebrating with 2 cakes. But thank you, Commissioners, for your support.
Thank you for your work. Betsy?
And as Lorena mentioned, it's one thing to have the software and to make the software work, But it's a lot of work too on our departments to keep it updated, to enter. And we do, and our team too also helps them keep it updated. And you're entering information multiple places. So not only are you having to get the work done, you're now having to report. And when I first started with the county, there was zilch reporting, like no one demanded it of us. And the court's commitment to public transparency drove this. The departments working make this software effective, because we've bought software before that we haven't put the work into. This software, we put the work in, and it really does tell the public our story. I'm very proud of this work. Thank you to the department heads and all the staff who do the entry. Thank you also to our web team and our previously the IT team that really help us get this on our website, help us integrate it. It's really incredible, and I'm very, very proud of the work that we've done in this area.
And I think it's the outcome of, when you treat people right and with respect and give them that opportunity to be creative. And I think that's always been the environment here with the county. And I think this is like the outcome of people that feel supported and respected, and you can go after things. And, I know the commissioners are very, very supportive of all these initiatives. So, I mean, this is a really important milestone for the county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats.
This completes all the items on the agenda, Judge.
Truly?
Judge, can we go back real quick to the bond item number on B?
Absolutely.
Just a comment, that, in regards to the outreach, Betsy,
Commissioner, if we can read that item in
Sure.
B, please.
Item number 4B, receive and discuss a presentation and update from the bond performance team regarding the voter-approved bond projects in the capital improvement plan.
just a recommendation about the outreach that, we have events, specifically at Escarate, a lot of events there. And maybe we should have some materials that we can pass out when we know people that attend things at the park are going to be there, especially like this weekend.
Tejano.
And that we go and hand them out, and hey, look, and maybe the other parks where we know there's going to be people there. Like, I know on Gallegos, there's a lot of people there on Saturdays and Sundays. And maybe we should, hand out these.
Captured audience, huh?
Yeah,
They're
captured
there.
audience. Hand them out a pamphlet. Hey, there's going to be a meeting about Escarate here. Those are the people that actually go to Escarate or go to the parks. I mean, just a recommendation to see if we can pass out stuff and say, please attend our meeting, December 10th or whatever. I don't know.
I think something small that they can put in their pocket.
Just something
because
small.
Sometimes if you give them we'll be picking up the paper, but it's something they could stick in their pocket. And
Just a
dates
recommendation. I don't know if we have the money for that, but those are people that are actually there and go to the park. Those are the kind of people we want, to give us input.
Absolutely.
Commissioner, we chuckle on this side because these are absolutely, it's an excellent idea. Laura and I have already spoken about this. Betsy has suggested some input as well, and Norma has suggested that we work in conjunction with her parks team to get these distributed. But one of the things Laura and I talked about is when you think of Escarate, you have a vast array of people who go there. You have fishers, you have golfers, you have baseball players, you have walkers, you have all sorts of communities that are at Escarate Park, and we need to do our best to bring them into this meeting. And so that's an excellent idea, and I will ensure that the team follows through with that.
Yeah, just a suggestion.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner.
And they actually did hand out some of those items at last night's event as well.
Yeah.
So for the groups who were at the event last night, there were flyers about the event for the December, I think it's the December 9th date at the park. And so they are already starting to distribute those. We also talked about not just distributing, but also having information when you drive into the park, letting people know, starting already now, we need to have that. Because like we talked about, I might go to the park today to golf, but I might not come back before the meeting. So let's have it up now. But those are excellent ideas that we can continue to incorporate.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that. We're done, Caesar? Thank you.
This concludes today's meeting, Judge. Those are all the items.
Yeah, my best.
All right.
Great meeting today, very productive, very informative, so thank you for everyone that puts all this together. We appreciate that, and our translators back there, production, still waiting for Alexis to come back, but, so thank you.